Tidbits from TNT, Wednesday morning, September 25, 2024. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Tishwash. Parliamentary finance. Iraq is experiencing good economic conditions with a financial surplus. The Parliamentary Finance Committee downplayed concerns about the decline in oil prices on the economic reality, stressing that Iraq's financial and economic conditions are good, and that revenues exceed the size of concerns resulting from the possibility of a decline in global oil prices. Member of the Parliamentary Finance Committee, MP Jamal Khojar, stated in a statement to the official newspaper, followed by Al Arabiya, that oil prices have not fallen to worrying levels, and therefore we are now in a stable economic situation with a financial surplus, and therefore we cannot talk about a crisis unless oil prices fall to less than $70. The member of the Finance Committee confirmed that Iraq has gone through many economic and oil crises in the past, but the financial situation has remained stable and there is no fear of a current crisis. Tishwash. Parliamentary finance. Iraq is experiencing good and stable economic conditions. The Parliamentary Finance Committee downplayed concerns about the decline in oil prices on the economic reality, stressing that Iraq's financial and economic conditions are good, and that revenues exceed the size of concerns resulting from the possibility of a decline in global oil prices. Member of the Parliamentary Finance Committee, MP Jamal Khojar, said in an interview with Al Sabah, followed by Al Iqtisad News, that oil prices have not fallen to worrying levels, and therefore we are now in a stable economic situation with a financial surplus, and therefore we cannot talk about a crisis unless oil prices fall to less than $70. The member of the Finance Committee stressed that Iraq has gone through many economic and oil crises in the past, but the financial situation has remained stable and there is no fear of a current crisis. According to the financial management law, the 2024 budget was supposed to be submitted after the middle of October, but there is still a delay in the expected schedules, which may be submitted in the first quarter of next year, Khojar continued. The MP pointed out that the majority of the 2023 budget has already been disbursed, with 9 trillion dinars disbursed 2 months ago, while the 2024 budget has not yet been disbursed due to changes in governors and attempts to introduce new projects. The member of the Finance Committee added, as for liquidity, the government has guaranteed the liquidity of salaries, but there is a shortage in the liquidity of projects. However, the projects that have been started will continue, including bridge projects. Tishwash. Rafidain announces collecting 3 trillion dinars from taxes within 9 months. Rafidain Bank announced today, Wednesday, that it collected 3 trillion dinars from taxes during 9 months of the current year. The bank's media office stated in a statement received by the Iraqi news agency, INA, that the total amounts of financial settlements related to electronic collection movements from state departments and institutions that have activated electronic collection and switched to electronic transactions and collected bills and fees from beneficiaries electronically via bank cards and POS devices, is 3 trillion dinars during the first 9 months of the current year. He added, this achievement represents the great interaction using electronic payment in financial transactions, and ensuring the preservation of money movement paths and making them in a safe and transparent environment. Tishwash. An imminent process to change the skin of the Iraqi dinar. Removing zeros will reveal the extent of currency manipulation. Government advisor. It must be preceded by political and economic stability. There has been talk once again about the possibility of removing zeros from the local currency, as the government is studying a bold option of changing the Iraqi dinar to its skin. Although this step carries promises of simplifying financial transactions, it raises concerns about its effects on the economy and citizens, especially in light of the inflation that the markets have been witnessing for a long time. During the current month, the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Ali Mohsen al-Alak, revealed new information regarding the project to delete zeros in Iraq, indicating that the project is undergoing continuous review and study, taking into consideration the existence of an issued currency volume that has exceeded 100 trillion dinars, after it was 6 trillion in 2004. Quote, many countries take the step of removing zeros from their currency to revalue their national currency. and facilitate financial transactions by removing a certain number of zeros from the nominal value of the currency, making it appear less inflationary and more stable. 60 countries experience removing zeros from the local currency as a process that has taken place in more than 60 countries over the past years, said Mazhar Mohammed Saleh, the Prime Minister's financial advisor. This step comes after economic inflation occurs in countries, and therefore they resort to deleting zeros in order to keep up with prices in the markets, he explained. In an interview with Al Jabal, Saleh continued, saying, "The abundance of zeros has doubled the monetary value of the currency now." Adding, political and economic stability must be achieved before resorting to deleting zeros. According to Saleh, the process of deleting zeros will facilitate the financial trading process. In addition to facilitating the calculations, and will not affect the value of the currency and all goods in the market. Pointing out that this process will also allow the issue of trading small currencies in the markets, which supports the poor class of society. The Iraqi Council of Ministers, February 7, 2023, approved the decision of the Board of Directors of the central bank to adjust the exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar, equivalent to 1,300 dinars per dollar, after it was 1,480 dinars per dollar, which, according to observers, caused a significant decline in the value of the Iraqi dinar in the markets. What about the value of the dinar? In this regard, financial expert Mahmoud Dagher told Al Jabal, "There is a high committee formed within the central bank that is continuing discussions and studying the deletion of zeros from the local currency of Iraq, indicating that the numbers on the currency have become very large, which is the main reason behind this process." Dagher, a candidate for a senior position at the central bank, added, "The most prominent positive aspect of removing zeros from the currency is strengthening the psychological aspect of the currency by reducing the volume of transactions," adding, "Removing zeros does not change the value of the money nor does it affect the volume of demand and the monetary mass." Iraq currently has a currency issue exceeding 100 trillion dinars, said Dagher, who pointed out that there is a negative point resulting from this process, which is the large financial costs to cover this process, and therefore the committee needs to study all economic aspects before making the final decision. According to Dagher, changing the currency will lead to the central bank controlling the amount of cash liquidity outside the banking system, and knowing the amount of currency available, stressing that this process will work to uncover manipulation, financial theft, and other things. According to the circulated data, the foreign reserves of the Central Bank of Iraq cover 83.62% of the broad money supply, which is enough to cover the cost of imports for 15 months, while the global standard rate is 20%. Expected effects. According to the specialist's view, the process of deleting zeros from the Iraqi local currency has many positives, as well as negatives, which can be summarized as follows. The positives include: first, simplifying calculations, as removing zeros will contribute to simplifying calculations and facilitating dealing with money. Second, improving the image of the currency, as deleting zeros may give the impression that the Iraqi currency has become more stable and stronger. Third, attracting investments, as this process may encourage investors to invest their money in the Iraqi economy. As for the negatives, first, high costs, as implementing this project requires large costs to change banknotes and coins, and update electronic payment systems. Second, temporary confusion, as citizens may face some confusion in the first period after implementing the decision. Third, the reform is not sufficient, as deleting zeros is only one of many measures necessary to achieve economic stability. Steps to strengthen the dinar in this regard. Drid al-Shaker al-Anzi, an economic expert, told Al Jabal, "The central bank's attempts to improve the reality of the local currency are many, but they always come to no avail. The central bank owns about $115 billion, 140 tons of gold, in addition to $43 billion in central treasury bonds, and $36 billion accumulated in savings at the Federal Reserve deposited in J.P. Morgan. But they did not and will not affect the strength of the Iraqi currency," according to the economic expert. Al-Anzi believes that linking the Iraqi currency's evaluation completely to the dollar through negotiations with the U.S. Federal Reserve will allow for improving the strength of the Iraqi dinar, stressing that this step will make the Iraqi dinar stronger than the Jordanian dinar. Quote, Al-Anzi points out that the step of deleting zeros is not useful in improving the value of the Iraqi dinar compared to the countries of the region, considering that it is a step that will only change digital transactions and has no positive value. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Source: dinarrecaps.com